Hello YouTube and welcome to episode 7 of my Oshinoko reaction series. Back here again for more Oshinoko. Just the one episode this week. I'm recording this a day late, as has been the way recently. We had an audit at work. I've been doing very long days, but you know how it is. So yeah, this video may be slightly late, and there's only one of them. So it is what it is. We had a couple of 2 episode videos in a row, so you know. I guess I'll bring up the YouTube comments and briefly go through our few that we got last week. First comment here from Creator. Getting upset if some random guy doesn't like my low effort game build showcase video with no voice and face cam. Lol. Can't imagine what Akane's going through or being in her shoes. So yeah, I mean, I relate to this on a level as well. For the record, I checked Creator's channel. There's a bunch of PoE stuff, so I don't know what this is about, but I don't like PoE. PoE is cool. Anyway, I'm off track. Like, relating to my personal experience, I've had people that don't like my videos, right? And I just kind of get over it because who cares, basically. But it's hard to say who cares when there's like thousands of them. Let's say that. And of course, I've never been in that situation at all, especially around a scandal, that is factually incorrect, that the wrong storyline has been put out there, and then, you know, what you don't want to happen happens. Let's put it that way. And I think jumping off of this point is JVTPS's comment here about the kind of real life story. And again, after reading all this, I'm hesitant to even talk about this. I think Clayproof's comment talks about it as well, but I'll at least go through it. Yeah, don't do what the people did. Put it that way. So the darkness that was inexplicable at the end of the last episode was a suicide prevention hotline at short notice. And it was that the story was fiction and urges people to get help if they need to get help and that kind of thing, right? Which, you know, cool. I don't know why that wasn't subbed for me. That would have been quite effective, I think, but I digress. The story of Akane in this episode is unfortunately based on the real life incident involving Hana Kimura on the sets of reality show that aired in 2020. Hana flicked the cap off a popular star in the show in anger, resulting in immense backlash from viewers. I do not know what this means, but sure. I'm sure it was definitely worth what happened to her. A lot of the comments you see in the episode are horrific replica of what was going on in chat rooms, Reddit, Twitter, 2chan, yeah, and incident was a huge national news thing in Japan. The show was shut down. Parliament passed new laws on cyberbullying. And then we get to this part, right? The sad part about all of this is a lot of folks hyped up this too much and actively contacted Kimura's mother. So when this episode aired, obviously, probably made a bit of a splash and thought, hey, this would be a nice thing to do. Let's bring this up to the mother of the girl that committed suicide. So yeah, some misplaced sense of empathy. And yeah, just anime isn't real life, guys. Just don't do stuff like that. Basically, ever. Like, just, yeah. I would avoid even messaging people. Because even something that you think is broadly positive, let's say it's more this than these two, it's not going to help anything. I don't think they need your support. I don't think you're that important to the situation. A situation that is that important to somebody else. Put it that way. Yeah, so that was why I was, I guess, hesitant to reveal this information as a fun fact. Just huge. Everybody that sees this, I don't know how many people are seeing this, do not do anything like this. Do not, please do not. Please. But I mean, if I could talk about my own opinion on all of this now anyway, I think it does a lot to contextualize it within a Japanese audience, which kind of helps with my understanding a little bit more. It was most certainly probably referential for the Japanese audience as well. It's something they could pick up without needing this fun fact attached to it, right? The fun fact, I think, is mostly for Western audiences that weren't already aware. This comment here came through while I was editing, so I guess I'll just include it now just so we could talk about it because it actually brings up a great point. Kind of explaining something that I didn't think was very obvious, but maybe obvious upon recollection now that I'm thinking about it. She wasn't bullied her entire life. The kind of montage towards the back of the episode, it's all about contrast. It's contrasting the shit that people make up about her with what her life is actually like. And she was in, that theater community, very insular, that kind of thing, um, initially, and obviously had like a great life leading up to this point. But the tragedy of the scene is that amount of relentless hate can make her not realize such a thing exists and make her forget about all the support that she has. And again, like we learn in the episode that I've already watched, that she does have a group of friends and people around her that actually did care about her this entire time, right? And she just didn't see it. I would argue that the structure isn't clear, but again, maybe I'm just dumb because I do tend to miss stuff. I do tend to miss stuff for sure. Hopefully not as much as other people, but you know what I mean. Where we actually go through the actual timeline of events here and that kind of thing. Um, yeah, systematically destroyed and devalued by these comments until nothing is left. Hence, what happens in the end of episode 6 happens. Also, the vegetarian thing is a mistranslation, so thank you. Yeah, so that makes that sequence towards the end of episode 6 hit a little bit better for me personally. Helps it to resonate, yeah. And it's interesting reading this comment knowing what I now know about episode 7. So, yeah. A lot of this tracks. It tracks a lot better than I thought it did. But either way, off of that stuff, which is a little more sad, like I'm hesitant to even say all this stuff now. Okay, this part aside, right, where Akane tries to commit suicide and doesn't succeed, which is good, but we'll talk about that when we get there. What's happening outside of that? The reality show is going about as well as you would have thought for someone like Yuki. Got what's the guy's name again? He's got a stupid name. Yeah, one of the guys has a stupid name. Melt. I want to say Melt. No, Melt was a different guy. Anyway, he had a stupid name. There was a love triangle with the two boys and Yuki. That's obviously not going to be the focus now, considering what happened. Memcho and Aqua are just kind of a mutually beneficial couple in this situation, and yeah. And then we get into a lot of the Akane stuff, a lot of the ego surfing stuff, a lot of the online presence in the show, which has been, again, in the past 2 episodes, described as a very good thing with the YouTube side of it, and a very bad thing with the whole Akane situation. So yeah, I'm keen to just jump into the next episode, see how Aqua caught wind of what was going on with Akane and was able to stop it. That'll be an interesting perspective. I hope we do a kind of perspective shift there. Other than that, not much. I don't think this episode, being episode 7, would be the kind of episode to have a second half that would be like funny idle shenanigans with the new Bikomachi. And again, I'm still cognizant of that opening. I'm still cognizant that Memcho is apparently part of this idol group, so there must be a coming together of that at some point. But I don't think it's now. I think that's a little bit later on. Either way, I'm rambling, and it's about 5:30 on the day I'm supposed to upload this, like tonight. So I better get moving. Chill stuff. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I could do to improve my presentation. Comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back. And the Discord. Join Discord. Love Discord. Discord. And yeah, jumping into episode 7 of Oshi no Ko right now. So I have a very dark episode 7 up here ready to go. 24 minutes and 40 seconds on this one, so sync up accordingly. Star Surgeon subs. And I just wanted to say something. Oh yeah, picture in the description below. But I just wanted to say something before. I think it's a poor decision, because I know that the opening's about to play, because I've got a little thumbnail thing on the video file. But I don't know about playing the happy-go-lucky opening after what we just saw. I guess there was a triumphant end to it. I don't know. It's a weird one for me. It's hidden kind of weird. But anyway, I'm gonna give it a 3, 2, 1 and watch it now regardless. So what do I know? Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. I guess yeah. The way I'm talking about it makes it seem like she actually went through with the deed, where that wasn't really what happened at all. So maybe I'm being overly cautious. And okay, is this opening happy-go-lucky? The song's catchy, but it's definitely like ironic. Get him is kind of dark humor-esque, right? Like the koi rhyming scheme. Yeah, I'm more curious about this like theatrical side to Akane and if where and if that'll come through because I just don't think like reality TV was her bag to begin with. Not excusing anything, obviously, but I just hope she finds her calling. I don't know. She should go to Oh my god, I'm forgetting the name of the school in Revue Starlight. I'm so good. I'm so bad at this. Say something. Anyway, she should go to Revue Starlight. That'd be fun. Actually, no, don't go to Revue Starlight. That Go to Revue Starlight when there isn't like a weird draft around. Then you'll be okay. Spoilers, I guess, for Revue Starlight. Very slight spoilers, like first episode spoilers. Yes, I remember. There's some excellent shots there as well with the colors. I like how we're not reusing animation here too. The music's gorgeous too. Yeah, I agree. Why? Oh, Mem to the rescue. Still hadn't come back? Oh, this is a kind of some kind of sharehouse situation. Like while they're on location or whatever. Or am I just making things up? I know it's dangerous up here. I'm trying to prevent the danger. Yeah, that's putting it lightly. I don't think anybody can ever get used to it, right? Whoa. that's out of nowhere. Is this maybe foreshadowing? Also apologize for hitting the mic, which I'm very bad at. Oh my god. I agree. Actually, great point. And here I was saying that it was all fake. Of course you liked that because Aqua said it. Yeah. Well, that was very slick. Po Buddy's perfect. What's this? I was just picking the two of them up. Oh, this is if it's like legit trouble and like that causes things to happen. If this is some bullshit where Aqua gets in trouble, well, that's just heartbreaking. Okay, good. It seems like they're not doing that. You were cognizant of it, though. Stop looking at me. Sun Sun. Oh my god. This is big A Silent Voice vibes. Well, I love that shot too. I would exit the show. I will rip up the contract. I just don't see how this reality show is helping you do that. I guess Japan's different, right? Okay. Determination's good. We like that. But also, knowing when to call quits is good too. I was surprised at some of the age differences actually when I saw them. How so? Yeah, that side of it I haven't really talked about. It pisses me off too. I was going to talk about it actually. Where hey, why did the producers specifically edit it like that too? To show only that like the what did it end up being? The scar on the cheek? Okay. I don't know what you mean by that, but sure. It's risky, I'll say that. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's risky. Like a method. Hmm. Okay. Just like, is it your place to be doing this? I guess that's been Aqua like always, though. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Whenever I see people talk about editing like this, I think of that one edit of K-On! That makes it look like a horror show. Just funny. Oh, I like that actually. I like that a lot. Attack on Titan reference? netizens is interesting. Yeah, this is very. They're being very frank, almost like fourth wall about their little plan. Like, yeah, that is exactly what they're trying to do. Okay. I mean, I'd trust you to like do some editing and stuff because you do. Yeah, I mean, you would have like the analytics side too, right? I believe it 110%. It's like your whole job. Okay. What a pro. He hit that one chord like crazy. Yeah. So what are they doing? Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, you're still kind of like, yeah. Okay. So they are getting a bunch of rogue footage. Gotcha. I thought they were like recreating it just for a second there. Okay, I'll steal it. Uh, but I mean, that's also reality shows. But with the context, with the circumstances after the fact, like, yeah. But if that entertainment bleeds out into real life, you have to put a stop to it. I would say it's almost your moral obligation to then release footage showing that, painting her in a good light. Oh, this is for sure true. Everyone shut up. Why not? Oh my god, they're doing editing. Like me. They're just like me. I'll tell you right now, don't do the energy drink thing, man. It'll just make you so sick. Coffee 110%. Oh, it'll do better than that. It's not all about the retweets, it's about the likes, no? Retweets are great, but 0 views. Yeah. I like that this is like weird like analytics knowledge that they know it'll do well if it gets that many retweets in a certain amount of time. Also, did Twitter have a view count when this came out? I mean, it must have, right? Yeah, this whole thing is probably something I should have brought up more last week, right? Like the producers being, you know, scumbags about it and not displaying the story correctly. That's a fuck ton. Okay, that's really good. You did a good thing. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I agree. Don't force yourself. You got there. It's okay. Yeah, it's almost like it's one of the main major concepts of like the entire show. It's also one of the major concepts of Kaguya-sama. Now that I think about it, masks, huh? Low key, I would say high key. I agree. That's not. You can't really work with that. Okay, better. I've got the pen and pad out. That's nice. Yeah, it's more intangibles than something that we can actually do. Yeah. No, yes, exactly. Okay. uh, he's a super fan. No one could replace her. Not ever. Well, you weren't at the time. Well, nothing will really make him happy. If it was me, I'd just say Sundere. I don't know. It's kind of a you kind of just do it. Yeah, she's very very earnest, diligent. All these words. Yeah, you're going in pretty deep, huh? Uh, uh, That last one's very specific and also true. Special, we'll say. The story is yet to be unfolded. No, I understand, because Kana's where I was at the start of the episode. Funny. Well, yeah, it's a dog eat dog world out there. I don't know if that's Schadenfreude, but sure. Again, so why did she need the reality show? I guess she was like a management thing. I don't know. All right, put in your best eye. That shot looks a lot like eye, actually. How the fuck did you do that? Oh, the eyes, yo. Yeah. She's good at this whole acting thing, huh? Buzz. Sure. I don't know about buzz for a word there. Yeah, I'll get out what I need to say before I talk about the end part. Um, I thought the episode was very smart in how real it dealt with everything, right? Where it's like, hey, this would be actually what an audience would do, like, throughout time, right? So you're never going to get rid of the haters. They're never, not everyone's going to stop all the time forever, but you can turn the public narrative enough to make things better for now. Um, which is what I agree with. Anyway, that's yeah, I found that part quite realistic. Um, and again, like the contrast between like even the show calling it out, like kind of saying, "Hey, why don't you just quit?" A lot of people saying, "Hey, why don't you just quit?" And then we have to find a creative solution there, like that. So then the ending part, right? Um, yeah, just shows how good of an actress she is, I guess. Is there going to be some kind of romantic spark there? There's already some Kana Akane like clashing rivalry stuff as said in the episode. So is that a direction? Like she's good enough to figure out stuff about Akane that like nobody else has figured out just by looking at her for a little bit. Like that's pretty crazy. And yeah, jumping into a little bit of analysis on episode 7. And we are back. I've written a quick little summary here of the episode's events. It's pretty jam-packed from what I've written. There's actually a fair bit that goes into it because I've skimmed over a couple of parts, notably Kana and oh my god, what's her name? Ruby. She's hardly in the show yet. They're parts in it really, and really Miyoko's and all that kind of thing. Right. Anyway, I'll just jump in. Bro, the episode was really good. Like, it's been really good, and it's been very Aka Akasaka. I said it reminded me of a silent voice at a couple moments as well. These are only ever really compliments. It's a different look on this base theme of show business and skepticism and reality and fiction and lies and truth and I love you and I don't love you, and it seems like we're diving into more of that with this eye thing. Can you just replicate I? You know, which again AI, is there someone in that? Anyway, whatever. Episode 7 starts with Aqua and Akane getting picked up by the police. Essentially, Mem got the message that Akane was in trouble and then called Aqua. That's how Aqua knew about what was happening, or at least had an inkling, and then just saved her in time. It was a good reveal. Is that the right word? It was a good coincidence. It was a good thing that happened. Either way, then the whole cast kind of gets behind Akane. Um, it's not dissimilar to A Silent Voice, where I kind of feel like, hey, you guys were at least okay. Spoilers for A Silent Voice broadly, but there is something like a suicide attempt in the middle of it, so that's kind of where the vibe's coming from. And then a lot of the drama there, at least for me, is figuring out who or or what the characters are like after something like this happens, right? Like what they're really like. And there's a few characters in A Silent Voice that I fucking hate because of their actions after this and how they do certain stuff. Anyway, that's beside the point. I was getting those similar vibes, yeah? Does anybody here feel complicit in this? I don't know. I think this is something we could have explored a little further, right? Should some of the cast, they're pretty switched on, should they have seen what was happening and spoken up a little bit more? Or is a large portion of it based on perspective and she actually did have that support and didn't see it at the time because of reasons discussed earlier in the video? I guess my point is, did the cast of the show know the negative, I guess, perspective they're putting out about Akane through the show, how it was edited, and why didn't they protest that harder in the moment? Unless this all happened over like a couple days, which I don't feel like it did. I don't know, just a random thought there. I don't know. That's a question for another day, I guess. Either way, the question that happens very quickly after that is what is Akane going to do now? She decides to continue on with what she's doing, which I don't know if it's unrealistic or realistic. Because I think in most situations you should probably just quit out. It's probably just a toxic workplace. It's probably not for you. But then we wouldn't have got our lovely little conclusion, and we wouldn't have gone into this storyline that we're going into now. So, again, do not know. But the rest of the cast, they're like, hey, let's set the record straight. We're going to make an online video, something to accompany the rest of the show, and show what she's really like, and put all the cards on the table, and do all that kind of thing, right? They use their collective knowledge. I think Old Mate does some music for it. Mem's obviously very good with the internet stuff and making it go viral and that kind of thing, and we even get the director guy to agree to using the footage that they left on the cutting room floor that would have fixed everything. So we appeal to his sense of morality, I guess, which is like, hey, you guys may just be doing this for a job, you guys may be adults, but you're dealing with children here, and are you okay with that? Which I think is a good question to ask these kind of people. And yeah, I do like that it doesn't fix everything overnight. We say, hey, there's still going to be fuckers out there on the internet, because of course there is. It's the internet. But it goes a long way to fixing things. It goes a long way for at least Akane herself to be watching that video and feel a lot better about it herself personally. So yeah, just nice. The cast putting their arms around each other in a way that I thought was quite believable and just nice. It was good. Then we get on to, I guess, the second half of the episode, which is strategizing Akane's return. So Yuki and Mem suggest she play a character, because this is talking to the themes of the show. If you put a lies being a little bit of protection, right? Not those true feelings, even back to the first episode, those true I love yous from I. So she plays a character, she can put some distance between her actual personality and what's on screen, and honestly probably make a better reality TV show character as well, like a better storyline, because she's kind of, again, her real personality, it's nice, but it's just not reality TV, it's not bombastic enough. They kind of theorize that a character similar to Aqua would be good, or not similar to Aqua, that Aqua would think is nice, because Aqua's one of the boys, and they're like a storyline where Aqua then falls for this new girl. No, it's just Akane. Falls for Akane. And they essentially decide on I as a good example through basic coincidence and inference of what or from what Aqua was saying. They don't know, obviously, any of the context around this, and Akane, as studious as she is, gets to work. We then get some small insight into Kana's opinions on Akane and her grand acting skills. It turns out she's a bit of a prodigy of the stage, and we didn't really know that beforehand. These acting skills are very much demonstrated when she comes back to set and is acting very, 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 very much like I. To a point where I need to shout out the animation work there. I think they did a great job of making it look like I as well. So yeah, that's where we're sitting. Obviously, this is leading up to, I think we've foreshadowed a kissing scene and a real relationship blossoming off a reality show or something like that. So that'll be basically panic stations for Kana. There's already a little bit of a rivalry there. Some amount of Schadenfreude at seeing not Akane fail, but not exactly being unhappy when it happens, which isn't a good feeling, but an understandable feeling, I think. And yeah, that's going to come to a head at some point with Kana and Akane. Because Akane seemingly has some genuine feelings for Aqua as well, which is understandable enough considering his role in the start of the episode. So yeah, interesting. I didn't see this direction coming. I still think we're kind of leaving Ruby out to just out to dry. She needs some content. I think as soon as we get this idol thing started, we should go in that direction. Or maybe there's a little bit more of her towards the end of the season. That's more of her storyline. I do not know. Either way, I'll get the episode up now and we'll have another quick look through. But most of all, I think I've said a lot of what I wanted to say storyline wise, at least. It'll just be a matter of highlighting production stuff and that kind of thing. Actually, I really like the music here at the start of the episode, like a lot. It's a different track. It's also a different set of animation to the previous episode as well, which I appreciated. Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know if I would call it epic, if that's the right word, but it sounds good. It fits the moment. It fits the intensity, I think. So as I said before, Mem to the rescue. Mem was the one that said that she was out in the typhoon, and Aqua must have been nearby. And lo and behold, what happened. And yeah, I guess this is where I'll talk about what I thought may have happened when we were talking about the police and all that. I thought that there was going to be some, I guess, what would you say, accusations made around Aqua and what he sees here, and them being out during the typhoon, and that maybe impacting the acting career or something, and that leading to some bullshit. I'm happy we don't go down that storyline because I thought that would have been contrived as hell. Because obviously he's helping her. Obviously nothing else is happening here. I don't know. I thought that we may have went that direction when Miyako started talking the way she did. Yeah, with the context from the end of the episode, a lot of this early stuff with Kana makes a whole lot more sense because I was like, oh, you're being quite cold. I understand why. Yeah, some rivalry there for sure. And Ruby looks at it with somewhat of a wide-eyed innocence, like, yeah, this is really intense, huh? But surely you guys get used to it, right? I don't think anybody can ever get used to it. You can get better at dealing with it, but it's never nice, you know? One criticism I do have is I think for how, I guess, realistic these looks are and how, I guess, true what the characters are saying is, I do feel like the dialogue itself doesn't sound like something somebody in this circumstance would say, or basically anybody in any circumstance would say. It seems like, again, a little bit outside the show and a little bit not performative. That's the wrong word. Less natural is what I would say. So again, maybe realistic to the real world, but within character, I struggle with it. Just I guess like Kana outwardly saying out loud that some days I feel like ending it all, and like this kind of stuff, like it feels a lot more expositional than natural, I think. But again, I may be doing a bad job explaining it. It's not a biggie. It's just something I've noticed, probably across the journey with Aka Akasaka's dialogue in general. Again, there's some really good parts to that, and there's some really bad parts to the Kaguya-sama manga. Again, unless you're talking to something else that'll come up later. But again, we'll see. I try not to earn, say, PSA, but it's kind of like PSA, right? Again, this kind of dialogue. It's not untrue. And I think it's way more natural coming from you, Miyako, than you, Kana, I think. One of the other things that we keep bringing up here with the reality show is the the truth of it all, the actual reality of it, and how it gets to your actual person. So if they don't like me on the reality show, then they obviously don't like me in general. And again, that's what we're talking about, like the lies being a shield for that, and linking that back into a lot of the eye stuff, and surely a lot of the stuff that you will get to see when you get some screen time too. The show is so slick in the animation department, though. Like, I know what they're talking about is all very important and stuff, but like, look at some of this stuff, man. Like this too. Woo! Like, they didn't need to go that hard. I know I've got it on 2 times speed, but you know what I mean, right? There's a very quick scene once we jump back over to the police station, but I think it's very effective. Like, the mum, like, legit just had no idea. Like, told her not to watch the show, so she didn't know what was going on in the show. She's not very online. Like, again, it shows how hidden this kind of stuff can be. Again, I hate to keep saying it, massive Silent Voice vibes. Massive Silent Voice vibes. We try to brush away Aqua's heroicism here as some kind of, like, eye, or trying to make up for the eye situation. Again, he was a toddler. But yeah, I think he's just sunning out a little bit. He cares more for the cast of the show than he lets on, I think. Bit of a tsundere, our boy. Like the look for Miyako here, and then I'll charge Akane for the taxi fare later. They had to take a taxi. Got an ambulance out for that. Anyway, I, you're just trying to, yeah. You've been tsundere. It's funny. I don't know about the slap here. Again, I know it's like a reference back to what happened during the reality show and that side of it, right? And her disappointment there, and it being like an actual genuine slap instead of a mistake, and blah 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 blah. But I just feel like it's a little bit intense for what's going on, especially with how fragile you are. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't have went for it. I guess we need to establish this as a better relationship for me to buy the slap, I think. Which I think we do by the end of the episode, but I don't know. A bit before that would be nice, but again, we're in Akane's point of view, so it's hard to do that. Yeah, we waste no time. Like, get straight into, like, hey, you're going to keep doing the show? And again, I've said it before, I was like, hell no, don't do that. But we come to some kind of, like we're going to get ourselves up out of this and keep going, right? Maybe hard, but it was something that initially I think that she wanted to do, so she's going to stick it out, which is good. But it's probably not worth it in real life. I would just quit out. So yeah, I'm just trying to like clue into what her actual thing is, right? So she's super popular in the theater world, but because the theater world is so insular that she's trying to branch out. That's why she did like the reality show thing. That's probably why she changed management, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, either way, she says, hey, I'm going to keep doing this thing, which is good. And it's good for the show because I think we're going in a very interesting direction with what comes next. The fucking animation is just awesome in this show, man. Great musical direction there as well. Kind of the up from the hands to the determined look in the eyes. Just, yeah, that's some killer stuff. It's like really damn good. Like from like down here to like up here. Really damn good. And then we get to the middle portion of the episode where Aqua is back on his bullshit, wants to get some kind of faux revenge for what has gone on. And it doesn't end up being revenge, it just ends up being like a nice thing for Akane, which I think is good. I don't think that he needs to go like nuclear. This is like 2 times that he's done this, by the way, that he like turns to the camera and goes, it's time for us to make some chaos, and then he just like does something really nice. So I don't know, maybe he thinks he's a bad boy, but he's just nice. I don't know, he's an interesting one. Yeah, again, as I said in the moment, this is something that I probably didn't really speak too much last week that I probably should have. That the producers are kind of at fault for not clearing things up like immediately, and probably editing things and making Akane seem like the villain of the show, and then egging on the audience for more views and that kind of thing, which is most certainly something that happens in reality TV. I wouldn't have minded if we got a little bit more revengey with it, because again, these guys are kind of scumbags. So I don't know. We do have a nice scene later on with the director, who I think has a pretty mature take on it all, potentially even too mature, not seeing the youthful view on it. But yeah, I do like what we did instead, though. So I think we should keep it. I wouldn't change much there. I guess, okay, the backdoor shady deal side of it is that Aqua goes to like the news hounds at like the police station, and then spreads out the Akane suicide story, and then that helps to create the narrative that sets up the place where he can make this video, and I guess it's framed like we're gonna take them down, but it ends up just being like good for the show. I don't know, it's weird. Oh yeah, and that's like the middle part where we're talking about like, okay, so we're kind of gambling with Akane here. That we know now that Akane is strong enough, and we have to trust that she is strong enough to take on this small time before we get this video out. This time where, I mean, she's gonna feel less isolated, obviously, but like things are going to intensify. If they see a suicide attempt, it's going to do one of two things. It's going to garner massive sympathy, which may not always be the best thing, or more and more hate, which sucks. Humans are terrible. Yeah, seeing Akane as kind of the ace in the hole in this whole gambling metaphor, right? I've made my gamble. It's risky, but I'm putting my trust in her to be able to withstand this, and, we'll make it to the other side, and, it'll make things better. We hope, anyway. And it does, which is good. So again, we move on to the plan here. We're talking with Mem. We're going to get a bunch of stuff together, whether that be behind the scenes stuff or extra footage from the show or, confessionals or anything, right? We're going to spill the beans on what it's actually like, right? And release the video on the internet. So that's why we're asking everybody for photos and stuff, and then Mem gets involved because of her social media prowess, and I think Old Mate makes some music or something. Yeah, again, trying to get back at the production staff for framing her like the villain. I'm still waiting for you to like do anything, Mem. Like you got a lot of personality, and I like your voice and this little like devil look here is pretty good. I like that. Even the transition back there is quite good too. But I'm just waiting for you to like do something. Can you do something for me, please? This is very realistic too. That these people that get in these hate mobs, they are a vocal minority, and that the general populace hearing about it probably has either ambivalence or just like slightly care about her, like want to come to her defense slightly, but don't feel super passionately about it. What we want to do is we want to get that silent majority on side, and how we do that is with this kind of video. I guess I should give you some credit for being the kind of brains behind like the empathetic viewpoint side of the video and trying to frame it that way for the rest of the audience, as well as your, again, social media prowess, knowing when to release stuff, knowing how to release stuff, knowing what sells well. Again, you've made a YouTube channel. You're obviously better at it than me. I want to say Kengo. Kengo is going to provide some music. He plays like one chord here in a bit, which is pretty impressive because that's more than I can do. But I don't really know why this is relevant. We don't even really see the video or hear the music. Yuki comes up with the idea to include the scene that sparked everything and what actually happened. The hug posted, and like, hey, I'm gonna help you through this, and everything's okay, basically. That side of the video that the audience didn't get to see. I thought that they just stopped rolling the cameras, but of course Yuki has this side to herself, right, where she can just kind of like notice shit, right? Which again, like, I mistook this early in the series for you being kind of evil. But that's just not the case. You're just a super pro. But I guess there's a conniving side to it, right? Like, this here could have been seen as somewhat performative because you may have thought the camera was still rolling. I don't know. I still don't trust her after all this time. I don't know why. So yeah, the crew definitely has the footage. The director confirms as such here. The problem is that they don't want to release it. They're making this reality show for a reason. They're trying to tell a narrative, and putting this footage out will ruin said narrative. It also doesn't have all the extra effects and everything they put on everything, probably, right? All the stages of editing. Anyway, he's hesitant to release the footage to Aqua for his little idea. Another part to this is, hey, you were giving Akane the advice to try and play the villain, to try and break up the whole Yuki thing. So you should feel somewhat responsible. But again, you're seeing this as just a job and doesn't want to, get that emotionally involved. But then there's kids involved, and that's the whole conflict. I don't see you as evil, right? I see you as a very, very much like black and white, like don't understand like the emotional side of everything that's going on, just see this as work. And you, using our grand metaphor of the show, probably just see this as more fake than the rest of the kids do, right? where some of them are actually just, putting their heart on the line here. Yeah, they're trying to wipe their hands of the whole affair. We didn't tell Akane to do it. We just edited it as bad as possible, you know? Kind of scummy. But you come around, so, like, eh. I find this guy a very realistic character, I'll say that. Yeah, I think Aqua's line here about the age is the correct one. Is, hey, you guys may be 35, you guys may be adults, you guys may just be doing this as a job. For her, this isn't a job. She was very earnest, she was very diligent, you knew as such, and you still did this. You definitely saw the internet backlash. You probably even got some popularity off of it. And you didn't stop anything? For a 17-year-old kid? Again, there's extra context around Aqua's words here, of course, right? What kind of adult doesn't choose to protect a kid? Because he's an adult, right? Aqua's older or has lived a life. So, of course, he would have a greater perspective on this, especially a perspective of a 35-year-old man on this kind of thing. Probably knows how to convince him. We go into somewhat of a montage here where we just see Aqua painstakingly editing this thing. We even get a bit of editing timeline in it, which is like, oh, I see that like all the time. We're trying to include as many silly photos as possible, which, I don't know if this is vanity or whatever. We don't really have Akane in this one, but anyway, we kind of use this shot of the overpass to show like time passing before panning over here. A number of berserk energy drinks, as well as I can only imagine what this is, but hey, we did it. We edited it. It's good. Oh, one thing I did forget about is that he was actually training as an editor under the director earlier in the show. So it makes sense that he would be the one to edit it, actually. Another thing I wanted to talk about as well whilst editing was that the whole eye situation and how young her death was is probably fueling a lot of Aqua's feeling here as well, something that I wanted to mention a little bit earlier. The video's encoding, hey yo, they say this is just about me. This is what I do. We set up this as our parameter for the popularity. We need to get 100 retweets within the first minute because knowing our, analytics, that will lead to something like actually popular in the future. That is a good amount to hit in that amount of time. So again, that's just some good screenwriting. That sets up a number that we want to see on screen and helps us feel the anticipation in the same way the cast does. Yeah, and we hit way above that number. We go to 226. I think eventually it gets, I forget, 70,000 retweets in 24 hours, which is a fuck ton. That is a fuck ton of retweets. Imagine the likes on it. I think more importantly than the rest of the public and it getting out to everybody is how Akane feels about it. She feels genuinely loved. People have put their hands around her. She feels less alone than how she looks right now. It's good. It's really good. You set up and then you pay off. That is how these things work, and this is a good payoff. Feels good. So yeah, the hate itself didn't really ever cease, right? It never does. People just get addicted to hating. But it helped clarify things, and again, what's more important is that, or most important, is that she feels good. She's in a better place. So yeah, she agrees to return to the show next shoot. And what are we going to do? What strategies are we going to put in place so this doesn't happen again? I do like this part too. We get two separate instances of characters kind of walking on eggshells around her. We have Yuki doing it here, and we have Kana doing it later. She doesn't want to say something kind of in an online forum that may have gotten them cancelled for what they say. Again, like, just trying to be gentle with her, which is good. Here we are. We suggest she plays some kind of character. Again, you're an actor. You'd be very good at that. The lie that you would do when you're acting would put some distance between you and the actual you and the rest of the world in a way that you didn't really before. Again, this talks to a lot of the rest of the themes of the show around lying and protection and being real and I love yous and all sorts of stuff. And her acting like I now, again, it's pretty cohesive. It really is, thematically. It's quite nice. So, along all these different journeys we take, we still come back to these same old points. It's something I really like about the show, for sure. We don't go off script that much, at least thematically. Again, you could even say that Aqua's acting right now, that we put on different acts in front of different people at all times. I think Mem's implying as such anyway. Yeah, interesting stuff. Who is the real Aqua if you think about it, right? I guess the one bit of vulnerability that Aqua shows is around Ai, and then again, this may lead to future stuff as we see what happens to you at the end of the episode. This always suggests, hey Aqua, what's your type? We'll get her to play like that, because it'll be a good storyline if you get interested in Akane, considering you're the only guy left, which I don't know how that works, but sure. Oh, not the only guy left, the only guy around right now. Gotcha. Okay. So just be like, okay, so maybe they're not suggesting that like it has to be like a storyline on the show that they use. Because again, I thought the mutual relationship that they were always going with was Mem and Aqua, just because it helps them get through the show basically. Yeah, so I misread that. It's less planned that it's for the show and more just the spur of the moment thing as he describes somebody that he likes, which is his mother. Weird, but again, we know about the premise. So he's pretty broad here. His stuff that he says isn't really replicatable by somebody unless they're a really good actress, which she is. Again, if I was in the situation, I would just say like, what are some archetypes I like? I like a tsundere. I said that. Already. I like a rich girl. I like somebody that's a bit clueless, wide-eyed curiosity. These in a character anyway, less an actual person. Those are very unrealistic for an actual person. You know what I mean. But again, we just see how studious Akane is at the end. Gets out a diligent little notepad and starts jotting some stuff down. We eventually get to the end of this part and it's like, oh yeah, you're talking about I, which is a logical leap, but sure. Again, interesting that they have none of the context around this, right? And they just kind of came up with this, which is extremely correct. Again, we see the blush here, and there's a scene a little bit later on where you're like walking around and it's like, oh, I want to be Aqua's friend, or again, romantic implications coming up for these two. He's like, no one can imitate I. Spits out cereal. She's imitating I really well. Yeah, broadly very thankful of what Aqua did for her, and again, some feeling may be blooming there. Yeah, she comes up with a bunch of stuff that is just true about her just by looking at pictures of her and the way she moves and the way she talks and that kind of thing, right? Like, oh, her family may not have been great. She may not have had many close friends. There's some kind of bias in the way she felt affection, which is, yeah. Did you see the first episode? Kind of a perfectionist, nonchalant, over-attached, stable when it came to money, unfazed by fashion. Even the little bit of the shaky cam and the audio going kind of crazy. Like, this is meant to be kind of like insane, these deductions that she's making. Yeah, this one's the most specific, unbalanced in a way, characteristic of a kid who had sex during puberty. Which again, I never really thought about how old I was, but yeah, she did. Yeah, that's the premise of the show, basically. I wonder if you like knowing that will come up in a way. I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if she met someone special indeed. This could be seen as maybe a piece of foreshadowing that we're implying that the dad is going to be like evil. But maybe he's just like there's been some kind of misunderstanding. He wasn't the one that called for the hit per se. It was somebody else. Somebody else that knew about the relationship. I don't know. I'm feeling like the dad, whoever it may not be as bad as previously thought. But again, I don't know. Just from this line. Yeah, here we're back with Kana, and we use the word Schadenfreude for the way she's feeling. She may have felt some enjoyment from her failure, but it's a very guilty type of Schadenfreude. I don't think, as much as I don't like anybody else in the world, I don't wish them to end their own lives. I guess Schadenfreude about wanting them to retire, but maybe not in the circumstances that she did. I don't know. It's a weird word to use there. And yeah, if you did say that on Twitter, you probably would be cancelled. Yeah, Arima Akane would feel better about things if Kurokawa Akane was someone out of the picture. Maybe not in the way that it happened. Again, we don't want that to happen. But there's, yeah, again, like that's more talking about acting stuff. But I think this is going to move into the Aqua side of things pretty soon, with how they feel about him, or how they both feel about him, I guess. This is where we finally get that piece of context that, hey, she's like the world's best gifted performer in the theatrical world. But again, theatrical world, very insular, probably. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you who the best people on Broadway are right now. Like, they just don't have that kind of shine on them. So again, no surprise what she does at the end of the episode, considering her talent. Speaking of the end of the episode, here it is, Akane being welcomed back on the show. getting a little clap, and then hey, we're gonna jump right into it, guys. And she kind of like closes her eyes and turns it on, basically. I wish I was better about talking about animation, but they kind of nail the look of eye with her, right? Like immediately with the mouth. Well, the eyes are the very obvious part, right? But there's something with the mouth back here too. Yeah, kind of the sharpness there is very eye. I don't know how, but it is. The yawn, the rub of the eye, the like hands, jazz hands, the hair flick, the hand. The again, the eyes are doing a lot, but like you're acting very well as I. How are you going to feel about that? What is acting? What is real? Is potentially this attraction built on some real emotion, potentially from you, considering what happened? How are we going to justify this? How is this going to be reconciled? Those are questions going forward. I find them very interesting. How we're bringing acting into this as well. Considering like both of you are actors, maybe you'll have some pointers for each other. No, potentially. How is Kana going to react? I don't know. Will Ruby get any screen time ever? I don't know. Will Mem ever do anything? I don't know. But yeah, we'll leave it there for this week. So again, just broadly pretty impressed with the show and how it's progressing. I think they're making smart decisions about where to take things next. It's constantly pretty like engaging from that perspective. We're always left on something pretty interesting to make me want to watch more. Probably something that the manga does very well as well. I was somewhat critical of the dialogue this episode. I thought it was a little bit on the nose with some of it, a little bit unrealistic, but again, we got over it. Mostly the story content makes up for it, I think. Again, it could also be a translation thing that's a little bit 50-50. But yeah, it's just good. It's well produced, it sounds good, it looks good, and I find the story and its concepts and themes very cohesive and broadly poignant. I see something in it anyway. I see something they're trying to say, which I can't say for most shows. So good, I guess. Yeah, looking forward to more next week. I don't know how I'm going to split things up from here. I'm at 7, 8, 9. How many is there 11 or 12 of these? There's 11. So what would I do? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So maybe over in 2 weeks potentially. But again, I'll see how I go. Shill stuff. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I could do to improve my presentation. Comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back. And join that Discord, get discussing the episodes with me and that kind of thing. It's a pretty open place to do that kind of thing, and I'd like you guys to be there. It'd be nice. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next week for more Oshi no Ko. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye bye.